Even though it looks like an old truck, it's not.
This is our new 2025 Ford Maverick, and this is the one that you guys have been asking about because this is the all-new Maverick with the hybrid system and all-wheel drive. We just took delivery. You're going to get that video on TFL Truck tomorrow, but for you fine folks that watch the TFL Talk channel, we wanted to do a live stream and talk about some of the cool features and our first hands-on experience with our new Maverick.
And how do you know it's the new model? It's got this little cutaway here that the old one doesn't have.
Yeah, you only bought 3/4 of a headlight with this truck. The last quarter is clearly reserved for the Ranger. So this is the new headlight design. But yeah, 2025, it's received a pretty significant facelift. The biggest change, of course, being the drivetrain with that hybrid and all-wheel drive.
Let me pop the hood and show them.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, we'll talk about the trim we got. This was quite a long wait for this truck. It was custom ordered. We picked all the options and the color. Andre was pretty stoked. It's actually a double pole.
I keep forgetting they did the BMW thing. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, 2 poles, there you go. So this is a 2.5 liter, 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated engine. And one thing Ford's been doing lately, we saw it on the Bronco, we saw it on the Ranger, now we see it on the Maverick, is they've gotten rid of all their engine covers. So it kind of looks like an ungainly mess underneath here. But what's not a mess is the fuel economy and the efficiency. So it used to be you could only get the hybrid in front-wheel drive, but now with this all-wheel drive hybrid, it's got a drive shaft going from the ECVT to the rear wheels, which means all 4 wheels get power.
Yeah, which was always a head scratcher because this, along with the Bronco Sport, are based on the Ford Escape, which could have been purchased with an all-wheel drive hybrid as well as a plug-in hybrid. So finally, they added the all-wheel drive and the hybrid to the Maverick, and that's why we bought it. And you can tell it's the hybrid because it's got these scary orange cables running everywhere.
It's got all the high voltage connectors here underneath the hood. Now, there is an option for a turbo engine as well. So if you do want the 2-liter turbo, you can still get that. And there's also the new Lobo trim, which is a street racing truck, as well as the Tremor trim. And those are going to be, I believe, 2-liter turbo only. But this is the truck we've been most excited about because in theory you get the efficiency of electrification, but you still get some of the snowworthiness and maybe a little bit of dirt road capability with those rear wheels powered.
Now, we weren't that crafty when we ordered this because we wanted this 1-year only color. It's called Eruption Green, and I love it, Tommy.
This is 1 year only.
1 year only, yeah. This is only 2025. There we go. But we also kind of opted for the luxury package on the interior because we wanted something that was not gray and black and gray and gray black.
So,
but the luxury package is blue.
You're getting 2 things confused here. We wanted initially, Andre wanted the XL, the base truck.
Yes.
Cool. So he wanted nothing on the inside. The problem with the base truck is the interior is pretty dour when it comes to actually filming, right? The truck's got to look good on camera, and that all black, super hard plastic interior just doesn't show. So we then had to step up to the XLT so we could get some of those cool blue accents and some nicer materials so that shows up better on camera.
Well, hold on. I don't think I'm getting wrong. So the base price is almost $29,000 for the XLT.
Yes.
Then if you want the hybrid all-wheel drive, you got to add Group 301A. That's a $2,200 option.
Yep.
And then we got the luxury package, which is $1,890.
That doesn't change the colors though.
You sure?
No, luxury package gives you heated seats and it gives you the heated steering wheel and a couple other little things. But the interior remains pretty similar to the standard XLT.
So all in, we were at about $36,000, Tommy. $36,275. But this is the numbers that are the highlight, right? The fuel economy.
Yeah, so 37 combined, 40 city, and they're saying 34 on the highway. And then Andre also wanted a couple other options here. Floor liners without carpeted mats. So we got the all-weather mats. That's great for Colorado. He also, of course, wanted the 4K tow package,
Yes.
which gives you hitch, brake controller. It also upgrades some of the cooling capacity and gives you a full-size spare. And then the Ford Co-Pilot System 360. I think he ordered that as a standalone option.
I think it's packaged as part of something else.
I don't know about that, but
Anyway, we got it. So initially, these started out when they first came out at $19,000 for the base XL 2-wheel drive. Now we've gone all the way to $36,000, which is a lot of money for a small truck. But if you want a nice interior, if you want a leather-wrapped steering wheel, if you want heated seats, this is the cost of entry.
Well, the crazy thing is, XLT is not like a high-end crazy luxury truck, right? There's still the Lariat above this, there's the Lobo, and there's the Tremor. So you can spec these well into the $40,000 territory.
And our biggest disappointment, which I did not know until when we ordered it, was you can't get the hybrid all-wheel drive with the FX4, and you can't get the Tremor with the hybrid and the all-wheel drive. You got to go with that 2.5 liter, no, 2 liter turbo.
Yeah.
This is the 2.5 naturally aspirated. So I love the truck, Tommy. I'm really happy with this guy. I love the color. We've just drove it back from Costco. What kind of fuel economy were we getting on the way back?
Well, I was hyper-miling it because I was curious to see over that 10-mile journey of mostly highway what I could do. And I was able, according to the computer, to get it up to 49 mpg. Over half of the drive was on electricity alone, which is pretty crazy. Now, driving around regularly, we have probably, 200 miles on this truck?
Yep.
The computer's saying about 34, 35 is what the estimated MPG is. But we're going to be able to get this thing on the Denver 100 MPG loop, as well as some other MPG testing to see what the real-world efficiency is based on the pump.
And right after this live show, you're going to take it up to the ranch, and you're going to go do a slip test on it.
Yeah, because that's the big question, right? We saw the capability of the Maverick Tremor. It was pretty good. And then we saw, the lack of capability with the hybrid Maverick and just front-wheel drive. So we're going to put this through the all-wheel drive torture test to see if those rear wheels are actually being powered or if it's more of a gimmick.
All right, do you want to show them the inside, Tommy?
Sure.
Why don't you show them the inside? There is a considerable lack of buttons, unfortunately.
Now,
it's all screen, but we do get a bigger screen for 2025. It's gone from 8 inches to 10 inches, Tommy.
one thing which I don't think I realized, which is a little bit of an odd combination on this truck, is the navy pier interior, which is this kind of dark blue dash and seat trim, and then the dark green exterior clashes a little bit.
I'm calling this kind of aquamarine-like.
Aquamarine,
It's a
okay.
little, so it works with the green.
But what I like about this XLT in this configuration
Hey,
is
boot it up, would you?
we have the white on the dashboard, and we also have the blue accents like down in the center console across the air vent. So that's a really nice touch.
And you do have a real volume knob, which is really nice. And you do have some buttons down there. My favorite one, Cole, is this one right there. I was looking for it in the screen. This is the auto hold, so it kind of works like an electric car where you don't have to keep your foot on the brake when you go to a stoplight. I love that. I also love the fact that you've got a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, but I don't love the fact that you've got all the HVAC controls in the screen.
So the screen, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but Cole, if you lift up the camera by your face, which is how you view the screen typically with your eyes, the screen is very vertical. And it's kind of odd, like I wish they had slanted it back a couple degrees because it's a little bit weird looking having it coming out so vertical. It almost feels like it's slanted toward the driver. Good quality screen, lots of functionality. My dad's completely right. The fact that there are no physical HVAC controls or heated seat controls or heated steering wheel control is a little bit of a miss. I really wish they had more physical buttons, but for cost saving, a lot of those are no more. And then down here, we've got our little rotary shifter, which is okay in this application, I think, because it clears up the cup holder space as well as your phone storage space. And then one thing that Ford has always done really well with the Maverick is all sorts of usable cubbies in the center console, in the center portion of the armrest, and also across the doors.
But look, this is what we're missing right here. I think this is a drive mode. Now, we do have drive modes. You can show them on the steering wheel, but the one I care about, we don't have.
Yeah, so if I actually cycle through these little buttons, let me go into a full startup thing, I think I'll be able to do it inside without kicking on the engine. Yeah, pretty cool. So there are a couple different modes. You've got the normal, the sport, the towing and heavy payload, and then there's also eco and slippery, but there's no like sand mode or rock mode, nothing like that. And then over here, Cole, I'm gonna take this for just a second. Thanks, buddy. There is a trailer brake controller, and this is such a cool feature to have a factory integrated trailer brake controller on an entry-level truck. Is really cool to see.
Well, it's part of the towing package.
Yeah, part of that 4K.
And the coolest part of the towing package is not only the, and you said it, Tommy, brake controller, it's also that you get a full-size spare, which is sweet, sweet.
So seats in this Maverick are one of the highlights for me. If you want to take a look at them, it's a cloth material, but it feels really durable, almost verging on a neoprene for the actual centers. And then the top and bottom almost look like a denim, but they're really plush and super supportive. Another thing we got with that luxury group is a power driver's seat with lumbar control.
8-way, Tommy, unlike the
8-way.
passenger who's stuck with no way.
Yeah, you
Power.
got manual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fully manual on the passenger side. But really a comfortable seat. I was really impressed to see that in this Maverick.
And I also like on the XLT the fact that the surfaces you touch, like where your elbow is,
Yep,
that's nice and soft.
super soft. Same thing on the door panel, really soft materials, which is great. And then we also, part of that luxury package, got a vinyl stitched steering wheel instead of the plastic steering wheel,
Which I love, Tommy.
which is awesome.
Which is also heated.
Yeah, which is great. So, look, I 100% agree that 36 grand for a small truck seems like a lot, but we're living in an era where a Ranger can be well into the $50,000 territory before you even get a Raptor. So 36 for a well-equipped any kind of truck or SUV now is actually pretty reasonable.
Well, our Ranger
unfortunately.
Raptor was 57, so 21,000 more. Do you want to try to sit in the back seat and see how you fit?
So this is my seating position. It's 6 feet tall. This is the passenger seat all the way back. It's okay. It's perfect for kids. I think this would be very acceptable for kids or younger teenagers. The headroom is awesome. The seats in the rear are super vertical, and I do like that they give you at least one pocket and 2 USB-C ports. All that's really good. A miss for me, no rear AC vents. That's a real bummer for your furry friends or your kids or family are hauling back here. And then I do wish that the seat would go back a little bit more reclined, but that's a sacrifice you get for a small truck.
But it's not much smaller than a mid-sized truck, Tommy. This is, I think, as big as a Tacoma back there. And the Tacoma, granted, is probably the smallest of the mid-sized trucks, but it's not horrible. And then you got plenty of underseat. Hey, can you put this under there for now?
Yep.
That's the plate holder.
So here we've got a lot of storage. We can see, I think that might be our low voltage battery location. I have to look into that a little bit. And then you can see our weather floor liners across the floor, which is good.
Now let's check out the bed. It's not a big bed. It's, I think it's 4.5 feet.
Why did you and Andre not spec the bed liner?
Because it takes a long time. We want to be the first to get the truck.
Okay.
So that could delay the truck by up to a month. And so we didn't spec the floor, the bed liner because of that. Now you do have some thoughtful features. We do have tie downs. We do have this little light here, which is pretty cool. That was part of it. We do have a power outlet right there. And I believe this is also, that is not a power outlet. That is a, what is that for? What is this for, Tommy?
No, that's a 12 volts for accessories.
How does
So
that
it's 12
work?
volt DC. So if you had the need,
Yeah.
for example, like if you had a bed rack system and maybe you wanted some power to that, you can wire that in directly there.
Oh, that's clever.
Yep.
You have, let me show you over here. You have bottle openers right there. You've got this kind of dual, does this work? What am I missing here? Do you have to squeeze this, Tommy,
So,
to get this undone? Oh yeah, and then you could go like that.
yeah.
So if you have something that sticks over and you don't want to come flying out.
And what's cool about this is I think this is perfectly in line with the wheel arches. So potentially, if you did have larger sheet board you wanted to move, you could do it in a pinch using this Maverick setup, which I think is very cool.
I think you could easily get 2 bikes in here. You could certainly get a dirt bike in here with the tailgate down.
It's a little, we tried a dirt bike, I think, once in a bike video.
Yeah.
It's a little small. You have to go at an angle.
Yeah.
Look, it's not an F-150 or 250. It definitely is a relatively limited amount of cargo space, but I do like the fact that they incorporate tie downs into the tailgate, as well as upper lower on the bed posts and bed sides as well, and bed floor.
I find this funny. They said in-bed storage. Look, Cole, here's our in-bed storage.
Yeah, it's a cubby.
But look, there is a little power light on the light.
Yep, so you get a little bit of lighting
And
there.
it also turns these on, Tommy.
Yeah.
It's kind of clever. So at night, you've got some lighting, which is cool.
So you got your chimsel there, and then this is a 400 watt, 120 volt outlet. This is a better concept on paper than in person because 400 watts does pretty much nothing in terms of what it can power. But if you did have like some string lights for a campsite, that is kind of cool.
So let's see if we got our full-size spare. And this is, by the way, this is also a remote opening, so you can open that remotely, which is nice. Is there a full-size spare under there, Cole? Tell me, please.
Yep, looks like we got one.
Yeah?
And then we also have our receiver here, which is really cool with our little Waysay sponsor already active. And then we have our 7-pin and our 4-pin. And I do like where they position
Yeah, they
these
did it better than on the F-150.
trailer chain
Chain,
loops.
yeah.
That's awesome. And you also see even on this basic truck, we have more basic truck, we have reversing sensors.
And a reverse camera, but I think that's mandated by law. So are there any questions that we could answer?
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting. Thank you so much for watching this live video.
Yeah.
What kind of trim is that Maverick? We talked about it right at the beginning, but if you missed it, it is an XLT. So one above the base truck here.
And one below the Lariat.
Nice color. That's nice. Is that mechanical all-wheel drive or does it have an electric motor? So this is a great question, and I just learned this recently myself. I thought Ford was going to do this all-wheel drive setup like Toyota does.
Where they do an electric motor for the rear wheels and an internal combustion engine for the front. And we've taken that on the slip test, and it doesn't work well.
Depends on the application, but a lot of the Toyota products really struggle because the rear motor might only have, in some cases, as little as 10, maybe 40, maybe 50 horsepower.
A classic application of that would be the Lexus RX has that set up.
Every single Toyota has it
The
now.
Camry has it.
RAV4 has it.
Yeah.
Sienna has it. Venza had it.
Prius has it.
UX, any Lexus or Toyota that has a hybrid badge has it. This is a mechanical drive shaft, though, from the front wheels all the way to the back. So I think it's going to perform better. At least it should on paper. Let's see what else people are saying here.
Also, we've got now LED headlights, which is nice. LED taillights. We have automatic headlights that they turn on. We also have remote keyless entry.
Yes, and remote start. Are you going to put some graphics or vinyl wrap it?
No, I love this color.
Okay.
Only thing I want to put on it is TFL truck up here, Tommy. I'm going to do TFL truck. Otherwise, it's done. I don't want to cover up this color. We've owned so many vehicles over the 15 years. I'm trying to think of, have we owned any other green ones?
I don't think I had a green Mini. Is there any off button or any setting in the display on the head unit to turn off the screen? 24s and below had it. That's a great question, Donald. I'll have to look into that, and we'll answer that in a future video. The problem is everything's in the screen, right? So it's not just your navigation, it's your radio, it's all your climate controls, it's your heated seats, it's all your settings. So I really wish they'd given some more physical buttons in that. They'll sell a crap ton of these. I agree with that completely. Bottle openers on the tailgate, pretty cool. Rear outlet, pretty cool. Ike Gauntlet. Andre's going to do an Ike with this, right?
Yeah, we're going to Ike it. Yeah, let's see what the payload is.
Does the XLT have push button start? Great question, Nick. It does. If you come over here, Cole, it's kind of in an unusual place where you might not expect it to be. But down here,
That is a lot of payload, Tommy.
that's the push
Shockingly
button
amount.
start. What's the payload?
Take a guess. What do you think the payload is? Keep in mind, usually like that RHO we had, recently that was like 1,300 pounds of payload.
I'm going to say this is 1,400.
Very close, 1,370.
So one of the advantages, people don't talk about this often, but the Ridgeline, the Santa Cruz, and the Maverick, the unibody construction really lends itself to a lot of payload. So these little unibody trucks have a ton of payload, which is very cool. Mechanical all-wheel drive is far superior. Does the tailgate lock and unlock with the key? Should we find out?
Well, let's find out. You got the key?
Yep. Here's the key, by the way.
Let's find out. It's a good question.
So it's just your standard Ford key. You can see Ford. Okay, ready? Ah!
Can you open the tailgate from the key?
There you go. Should be good.
No, open it. Actually, flop it open. Look on the.
Oh, no, there's no remote open button.
No remote open.
There is a mechanical override, though, which is nice.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool little feature. And I'm wondering, too, let's see if we can stop it inside or if the engine's going to kick on. That's the truck on.
Yep, engine didn't kick on. It's a
Engine
hybrid.
is off.
It's definitely on. To drive, it's on. It says to drive, first press start.
Yeah, lights are on, too.
Yeah.
All right, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. The nice thing is we're not going to die of carbon monoxide poisoning because it's a hybrid.
The Big Green was green. How did we forget about Big Green?
How did we forget about Big Green? You are so right. Okay. Big Green was green.
Those all-wheel drive systems are the worst, and on Ford's configuration, it shows mechanical all-wheel drive. It is mechanical all-wheel drive.
Let's talk about the competition for this. There isn't much. There's only the Santa Cruz. Nathan owned the Santa Cruz for a while.
Yeah.
So that was nice. But the difference to me between this and the Santa Cruz is the Santa Cruz is definitely a car with a bed. I mean, from here on, it's an SUV. This is a truck all the way through. Through and through, this to me is a truck.
I disagree completely.
Fair?
They're exactly the same.
No, they're not.
This one is blockier, so it looks more truck-like, but this is a Bronco Sport from here forward. That was a
A Bronco Sport is different on the inside. It's
not that different.
It's different.
It's pretty similar.
It's
It's a
not-
little different.
This is different than a Bronco Sport. Tommy. The door handles are different to start with.
I just drove a Bronco Sport.
Yeah, I did too.
And like the buttons are different and some of the shapes are different, but the actual platform, the C1.
The Santa Cruz is identical to the, what's it based on?
The Tucson.
Yeah, it's identical to the Tucson from the bed. I mean, identical.
Sure, but I don't think a change in buttons makes it a truck versus not being a truck. I
No,
do agree the interiors are a little different. I don't think that this is, the reason it looks more trucky is I think it comes down to right here. So where the Santa Cruz is kind of a slope on the C-pillar, this has got a vertical C-pillar, but I don't think that this is necessarily more trucky than the Santa Cruz.
I 100% disagree. This bed to me looks like a truck bed. When I'm sitting behind the wheel of the truck or next to the passenger, I feel like I'm in a truck. In the Santa Cruz, I always felt like and there's nothing wrong with that, but I always felt like I was in an SUV or crossover, in other words, a car and not a truck.
So I think Ford, what we're saying, has done a good job with the perception, right? Because on paper, they tow the same. Actually, Santa Cruz tows more than this does.
How much is the Santa Cruz?
5,000.
Okay.
Yep. Payload's about the same.
But you should talk about that, Tommy. Nathan bought the Santa Cruz,
Mm-hmm.
and in the 2 years that he owned it, he could not get a tow package.
Yeah, he had problems sourcing tow wiring, I think, was the problem.
He could not get it. Basically, from Hyundai, he could not get a tow package.
Yeah, people are right too. It looks more trucky because Ford has the truck heritage, and I
Yeah,
think
true.
certainly that's a big part of it. I'm not trying to say that this isn't a truck or the Santa Cruz is. I just think that people discount that the unibody construction, the engine layout is very similar between the two, with transverse front drive biased unibody.
Once again, you can't get a hybrid Santa Cruz.
Yes, so they're different. Don't get me wrong.
And the
But
Santa Cruz is also, in general, more expensive, Tommy.
Santa Cruz is a built-in bed cover. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it does
too.
have a built-in bed cover. It also has a little storage cubby here, which this doesn't have.
And another thing too, which is a little different, is that this has the metal bed, right? And I think the Santa Cruz is a composite bed.
It might be a composite
So
bed.
that's pretty cool on the Ford side too. I think it's really cool. I mean, I think that this is realistically probably the truck that 85% of people really need,
Well, you could say that about the Passport.
even though the Ridgeline.
Oh, Ridgeline, sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure,
Not the
for
Passport,
sure.
Ridgeline.
So I love it. I think it's really cool. Let's see what else people are talking. Have you gotten the app yet?
Yeah, I have the app.
Does it work pretty well?
Yeah, it works pretty well. At Ford, you can put a bunch of cars. It does the usual app stuff. It tells you where it's at. It tells you how much gas it has. It tells you how many miles it has. It tracks the location, like I said. It works pretty well.
The other thing too, let's talk about our initial driving impressions really quick.
Yeah, let's talk about
come
that.
back to the front. So we have put a couple hundred miles on this truck, just taking it from the dealer back to the office, cruising around our hometown in Colorado.
Can I start with one driving
Yeah, what are
impression?
your first impressions?
Well,
Yeah.
when you sit behind the wheel, you see these like little cutouts here, which are basically stylistic cutouts. Because of the way the light plays off of these, it looks like the hood is dented from behind the wheel.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, it looks like it scared me at first. It was like, oh my God, someone dropped something on the hood. The bulges are great. These little creases are kind of odd.
Yeah, they look kind of weird. My first impression, besides that, was it's got a very good, smooth ride. It probably rides better than any other truck that I've been in.
Sure, yeah.
Outside of like the Raptor, which kind of floats down the road. But that could be going to your statement that this is more of a car than a truck. But it does ride very well.
It does. My initial driving impression has to do with the powertrain.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever driven a truck of any kind, except for an EV, that has a more absent engine or vibration standpoint. When you drive this thing around at normal speeds, you genuinely cannot tell when the engine is on and when it's on electricity. It's very seamless, very smooth, and it's completely unintrusive. Like, I almost wish like you could hear more like that. That engine is so silent. Then when you go and try to merge to a highway in a hurry, it really screams. And you get that typical CVT scream where it goes right to peak power RPM and it just goes, "Wah." So that is kind of annoying. However, for 99% of driving situations, you would never know it's a CVT. You probably would never even know it has a gasoline engine. It's that smooth.
Yeah, the other thing is the steering is very communicative.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so for a truck, because usually the answer to the question, how does a truck drive, is like a truck. And this actually drives pretty well, Tommy.
So steering is pretty weighty. If you expect like one finger steering, it's actually quite a bit heavier than that. And then it does have regenerative braking as well to recharge the battery. And there's like a little energy coach.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You can try to keep it right in that peak.
So
energy
I
range.
showed Tommy that when he first driving it, and he goes, "I don't need that. I know it's using gas when I floor it, and it's regenerating." And then when you start using it, it's really cool because it tells you when you're using the gas engine, when you're using the electric motor, when you're regenerating, and when you're going all pure electric. It's actually a pretty cool little coach.
Yeah, as usual, I was wrong, and I think it's pretty cool.
Not as usual. You're more right than I am.
Could you modify the exhaust and customize it? I don't think that would be wise because when that engine does kick on, it sounds pretty dreadful. So I'm not sure I want to hear more of it. I'm kind of glad that it's just humming along in the background.
Do four-cylinder naturally aspirated 2-liter sound good, Tommy?
Usually not.
Usually not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thought, but I'm not sure you'd want to hear it.
Does it have self-driving Blue Cruise? Interesting. Copilot 360 is an option on this truck, and it does give you some safety features. It does have lane keep, but it does not have adaptive cruise control, which is a little bit frustrating to me because you see that Copilot and you're like, oh, great, it's going to have, at least a semi-autonomous system on the highway. It does not.
I don't believe you can get Blue Cruise on a Maverick.
I don't know about the layer. I don't think you can get it on Maverick at all.
I don't think you can get it on a Maverick.
But I think you can get adaptive cruise. I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, we just don't have it.
Does it ride the same as a Bronco Sport? No, it rides quite a bit better.
It rides better.
And I think this is quite a bit of a longer wheelbase. I have to verify that, but it does ride a lot smoother than Bronco Sport. It's manufactured in Mexico. Is a transition between ICE and electric more seamless than Power Boost? Yes, very much so. You really cannot tell much at all when it goes from electric to gas. It is incredibly seamless. You do have a very small pedal travel to stay in the EV mode. Like if you push it even a little bit beyond maybe an 8th throttle, it will kick on the gas engine. So it's not a super powerful electrical architecture, but I was driving it down the turnpike here, and I was watching the monitor. Even at 48, 49, and 50 miles an hour, I was able to feather it in EV mode, which is actually pretty cool. I think that's pretty decent.
And we did not get the blackout package, Tommy, even though it's all blacked out. Don't ask me what the blackout package gets you. We did not get any kind of fog lights, which is now bumming me out. Does it have recovery points?
It does not.
It does not have recovery points. So this is definitely more of a dirt road truck than a go beyond the dirt road.
Here's a sip of Needham. Is it? Oh, I just answered that one. Jonathan, is Roman a Formula One fan with your shirt?
Yes, of course I'm a Formula One fan. I kind of come and go.
Okay, what's your favorite team?
I think my favorite team traditionally has been Red Bull.
Okay.
Yeah, because they've been winning the most. I mean, I'm a big fan of Max. Yeah, good stuff.
GMC Garage says, if you want more regen braking, hit the L button in the middle of the shifter. Will do. That's a great tip. Thank you for that. People were talking about remote start. As we demonstrated, it did warm up the cabin on electricity alone in this instance. But I think that it might kick on the gasoline engine occasionally.
I wouldn't do it in your garage.
So don't do it in your garage. Yeah. That would be really, really bad.
I think that's reserved for pure EVs.
Yeah.
And certainly don't do it in that Mercedes G-Wagon because that will knock you out like that with the amount of exhaust coming out of it. Should we wrap this up, Tommy? We got to go slip test this.
Yeah. Steve says, how far can it go on just electric if that's possible? Not very far.
No, it's not a plug-in hybrid.
So we're talking maybe like a half a mile to 1 mile. It's a really limited amount of all electric range.
Let's see if it makes any noise if it's on electric. Why don't you start it up and drive forward?
Okay.
And let's see if it makes like an EV sound. I'll be curious.
Will you be putting a lift and bigger tires on the truck?
We'll put bigger tires on it. I'm not sure about a lift. But we can't do that until we do all of our testing. Oh yeah, you hear it? Hey, don't run me over. It sounds like an angry wombat, Tommy. Or maybe a horny wombat. It's purring a little bit. Where do they come up with these sounds? Yeah, it's kind of, at least it knows. So yeah, I mean, what we'll do first is, of course, we'll do our standard set of testing. So we're going to do a Denver 100 to see what kind of fuel economy we're getting. We're going to go take it off-road, even though we probably shouldn't. Tommy will slip test it. We'll Ike it. We'll do something with hauling with it. And then once we're done with all that, I'm dying to put on some all-terrains.
Modify the accelerator so you could stay in electric mode. Not really an option. I mean, look, this is not a vehicle that's meant to be driven in full electric mode, right?
It's a typical hybrid.
And what's cool about it, though, is you don't realize how many times it is actually in electric mode. So on that 10-mile drive back from Costco, if I remember right, 5 miles of that, 4.8 miles of that were gas, and 6.2 or 5.2, whatever the math is there, were electric. So it was more driving in electric than gasoline, which is pretty cool.
Now, when I bought this, we bought this at our usual place, Brighton Ford in Brighton. And interestingly, if you guys are interested in one, Josh told me, the manager there, that they have 4 left, but they're the 2024s. So they're basically the 2-wheel drives. And now, of course, here in Colorado especially, everybody wants the all-wheel drive hybrid. And so he's, I think, discounting those. So if you guys want a Maverick and you don't have to have the all-wheel drive and you just want the hybrid, Brighton Ford has them.
So people are talking about the LED light signature. This XLT does not have like any kind of surround and LED. Instead, your parking lights are just halogen turn signals. So it's not actually a full LED light cluster.
But the headlights are LED.
People really want to see the 4K towing test ASAP.
Yeah, that'll be fun. A mini Ike.
What vehicle did you get rid of to buy the Maverick?
Watch tomorrow's truck video. I'm not going to tell you.
Yes, I'm devastated.
Yeah, let's just say Tommy's devastated. But you know, our way of working is we don't collect vehicles, we test vehicles. So the rule is when one goes in, one has to come out. And so we did trade this in on something that Tommy loved. And I love too, Tommy, to be fair.
Boko Raton Global says TFL rocks. Thanks, dude. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
of course. Thank
that.
you.
It's very, very kind. Tremor version. Tremor version starts, I think, at 41 after destination.
Yeah.
So that's even more money. That one's really expensive.
But it's lifted, it's got all terrains, it's got skid plates.
Could you compare the Maverick to the Model T? Yes, I think that would be really cool because we do have a Model T truck. And it'd be really interesting.
That's a hint. We have Model T truck.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to compare where Ford has been to where they're going. I think that's very cool. So I'm really excited about this truck, guys. It looks like a lot of you out there are pretty interested in the Maverick XLT as well.
Look, what I love is that we have something that is relatively affordable. You know, we end up buying a lot of things that are very expensive. Even our Ranger Raptor was $57,000. We get certainly from the manufacturer the top end of every car that we have. Like that RHO we had was $84,000. We just had a Raptor R for $120,000. So it's nice to have something that you don't have to mortgage your house to potentially purchase.
Everybody's saying we traded in the Model T. No, we did not trade in the Model T.
No, but close.
And then that, by the way, people are asking about that. That will be in a classics video this weekend. We now have 2 crappy Range Rovers.
This one's less crappy.
Yes.
This one is less crappy than the red one. We now have this is champagne, Tommy. We have a champagne colored Range Rover.
That's right.
Same year, basically identical to the red one, except that it's less crappy.
People are saying call it Green Bean.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Ian,
Green
great
bean.
decision. Or that was
All right,
Costanza 009. Thank you.
All right, green bean it is.
Green Bean. I like that. So Green Bean, the Maverick, we'll have a lot of videos coming up. I think Andre's super excited. So what do we tow up the Ike?
Probably the Model T. It only tows 4,000.
Yes, I think that'd be cool. We have that new Illuma trailer.
That's 2,000, and the Model T is like what, 1,800?
Yeah, so it would be right at the limit.
Or a side by side.
Yeah, that'd probably be more
Yeah.
realistic. But folks, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you have more comments, we'll try to answer them after this live stream ends.
And go to LTFL tomorrow morning where you'll see what we traded in on the Maverick. As always, this is Roman.
And Tommy.
Saying thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Bye.